We got a lightning round. So, hey, we're ready to rock and roll.
I'm also venturing we're probably going to have a pretty great audience. So
I have a feeling. Chime in, audience. We want to hear from you.
I'll hit the video and we will get going.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
This is Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to sell effectively. Now, Mark's basically going to tell you everything that we've got going on today, but I want to start by telling you how the show works because we want you involved, the audience. We start every show with a question from you. So if you have anything you want us to talk about, a burning question you need us to answer, just go to saleslogicpodcast.com, put it in there, or reach out to Mark or to myself and let us know what's on your mind. We cover a hot topic, we highlight a book, and just so that you leave with return on investment, we have a lightning round. So Mark, you mentioned that we're going to talk today about the top 1% habits of sales professionals. But what's our burning question?
Well, I was going to say, does that mean we're talking about us? Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Anyway, hey, I forgot to ask you. You had a great week. You were hanging out with some of our common friends.
Yeah, I had a really good week. I was lucky. I went to Washington, D.C., got to work with one of my favorite clients, a long-term client that I just keep doing more and more work for. Flew to Minneapolis, saw some of our friends, got to hang out with them and speak with an amazing group of individuals. I did a presentation for the wholesale floral and florist supplier industry. And what a great group of folks. So I had a really good week. What about you?
Good. In the meantime, I was just sitting here in my office raising money for a couple of startups. So, hey, what the heck, right? Anyway, just want those checks to be rolling across. Anyway, hey, okay. The topic, sales habits of the top 1%. And the question comes from Santiago in Ecuador. Great country, great food, great place. I am a wholesaler, new in the industry, and putting together a new sales team in a new division. And I'm curious, as I build my team, who should I be looking for? What are the qualities, skills, habits of great salespeople? Santiago might be in Ecuador, but this is a universal global question.
Yeah. I think as you look for top sales professionals, I love the fact that Santiago is asking this before he ever puts the team together. These are really great questions to contemplate and to ask yourself. I mean, I get to build this from scratch. Who am I really looking for? Santiago, one of the things that I would do is I would look around the industry and look to some of the top performing salespeople. I'd look for them for two reasons. Number one is make a list of those top performing salespeople and start to see what they have in common. I mean, there's some commonalities to great salespeople in general, but there's also some better specific ones when you really study those in your industry. You also know what's coming next is I'm going to start with trying to recruit some of those people onto your team. But if that doesn't work, if you can't pull them away, at least you can know some of the characteristics of those top performing salespeople.
I like what you're talking about because it's the person, not the position. One of the biggest mistakes sales managers make is they hire to fill a position. You never, ever hire to fill a position. You hire because you have the right person. And this is the whole thing. You've got to look at the person. And one of the big things, in fact, this came across just the other day. I was talking with a VP of sales and he had a candidate he really liked and he wanted me to interview him. And I said, that's fine. And he said, yeah, I went golfing with the gentleman. And it was really great, but on the back nine's when people really begin to get casual, right? Right? You've been out golfing for a while, you begin to get kind of casual with conversation. And he shared kind of a flippant remark that was not appropriate. He shared that with me and I said, you don't want to hire him. There's no way you want to hire him. Do you want that kind of a toxic attitude in your organization? And it's interesting. A week later, I ran into him, and he said, I didn't hire him based on your comment. So you're going to got to look at it's not just the skill set, it's the individual talents and integrity makeup that the person brings to the company.
Yeah, Santiago, I would also suggest that you go out and talk to customers in the field and ask them who they're working with and why they like them. What appeals to them about that sales professional? It doesn't even necessarily need to be a sales professional in your industry, but they'll start to tell you some of the qualities that are working with them. And as much as I feel Mark and I know about top performing salespeople, the best voices you can listen to are from your customers.
Well, you're listening for the customer, because what you want to hear them say is, how well do they value discipline and focus, communication, the art of following through, because this is so key. What I find so many salespeople fail to do is they're not disciplined, they're not focused. And as a result, they really don't know how to communicate. And when they do communicate, what are they doing? They're just talking.
Yeah, Carlo put in a great comment here. How about having compassion for the product? I mean, yeah, really being compassionate about it, passionate about it, excited about it, and most importantly, they've got to believe in that product. I mean, that's a great trait.
Yeah, I'm going to push a little further on that. And I don't want to just be passionate about the product. I want to be passionate about the customers I serve. Because really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to deliver an outcome. Hey, Beth has got that great question. What are some of the favorite questions you ask to identify? I'm going to ask them, hey, walk me through, what does a typical day look like for you? Walk me through very specifically. How do you start the day? How do you progress? I'm also going to ask them questions such as, how well do you feel you're equipped to handle the job that you're about to come into? Tell me how you would handle your first 30 days. I want to set them up with very broad, open questions, just to let them begin sharing with me.
Yeah, I think that is, I think the broad open questions are really key. I mean, Beth, once you understand the traits that you're looking for, once you know what it is that it takes to be successful in that position, then craft the questions open-ended according to those traits. For example, if you're looking for somebody who is a real go-getter, who is a problem solver, who can push through any challenge, the question becomes, tell me one of the greatest challenges you've had as a salesperson. You're 20 days into the month and you haven't even gotten near goal. What did you do to pick up the pace? What did you do to get through the right doors? What did you do to make sure that by day 30 you were achieving that goal? You know, to Mark's question, you're brand new on a team. What did you do to structure your first 30 days to be successful? How did you handle a really difficult customer that we lost but bought a lot from us and we want to bring back on? So structure those questions situational, so that you can really hear how they think, what they did, and if it aligns with what you've got going on.
Hey, we got some great comments that are coming in, and we're going to pop them up here on the screen. I'm going to share with you. This was a technique I learned years ago, and it really works. List out what are the traits that you're looking for. It might be listening skills. It might be discipline. It might be organization. You list them all down on a piece of paper. To the right of that, you list down, you write the name of the person who epitomizes listening skills. You write down the name of the person who epitomizes organizational skills, or whatever it might be. And what you do is you use that person then as your benchmark. In other words, what you're doing is, as you're interviewing the person, you're beginning to see how close does that person come to this reference point, this other person. And you kind of score them on a 1 through 10 scale. And this is really powerful if you're interviewing multiple candidates, because then you get kind of a scorecard. And it really helps you stay focused on each of the individual traits that you're looking to hire.
Great. I love what Tyler said here. John Barrows taught him that the simplest sales in its simplest form is it's just the transfer of enthusiasm. That's right. I love that, because you look for the energy you pick up from salespeople. And speaking of energy, we've got the legendary Larry Long Jr. here. So great to see here and see you both. Thanks so much, Larry. But he is the very epitome of energy. I think one of the most important things for Santiago is to understand that great salespeople are not going to beat your door down. Just like you have to go get great customers, you have to go get great salespeople. And so as you start building your team, realize you're making an investment for a while. You're not going to talk to a great salesperson and recruit them in the first moment. It's going to take a while to bring them along.
Yeah, because great salespeople are working. They're working. So you're going to have to bring them. You're going to have to create some sort of a reason for them to leave where they're at and to come join you. And this comes back to, who are you? You know what I've always found is that B-level people hire B and C-level people. Only A-level people hire A-level people. So I tell you what, Santiago and everybody else out there, if you want to hire those top performing salespeople, you too have to be seen as a top performing person. Talent attracts talent.
Yeah, so true. I mean, a top performing salesperson wants to go to work for a top performing sales leader. So you got to ask yourself, what are you doing not only to ensure you're at the top, but keeping yourself at the top? Beth, I love that you included here. Curiosity is a big one for me, and thanks for the input. So kind of back to your original question, I'd be interviewing for that. Tell me, how do you keep yourself learning and engaged about the sales industry and about your customers? What are some of the favorite questions that you ask when you're in front of people? I'd be trying to test their level of curiosity.
Well, I'm gonna test. Who do you learn from? What books have you read? Who are you following? What are you taking a look at? It's interesting. I love Tyler's comment here when you talk about matching the skill of the person. Number one on my list for energy. Larry, yeah, you're right. Larry is his own nuclear power plant. Just saying there. Anyway.
That's right.
So, hey, here's the situation though. What are we talking about? We're talking about the individual. You notice we're not talking about, gee, can they bring a big book of business? Can they bring all these customers with them? Or do they have knowledge of the product? I tell you what, I put that as secondary. I've heard more times, oh, you hire me and I'll bring this big book of business. That big book of business never winds up being as big as we're all
So
right,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Hire the individual. That's what it's all about. Wow. Great conversation, great comments. Keep them coming, audience. This is absolutely fantastic. We should kind of pivot and talk about the sales habits of the top 1%, because we've got some top 1%ers who are.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we'd love to. We'd love to hear what your habits and what your thoughts are. And so I would say a great habit of a top 1%er is that they protect their time. I mean, one of the biggest pushbacks we hear from sales professionals is there isn't time to enter into the CRM. There isn't time to prospect efficiently. There isn't time to follow up with customers like I need to follow up. If you pay attention to top 1%ers, they have time for all of those things and other great habits because they manage their time efficiently. They protect it.
You know what? People always say, oh, I don't have enough time. No, it's not. Yeah, you don't have enough time. Your priorities are in the wrong place. And that's exactly what the time, because they know how to allocate their time. They know, and they have a very set routine. You look at anybody who is that top 1%, they have a very set routine from morning to night, and they don't deviate from that. And that's one of the biggest differences that I can spot. So when I'm talking to a candidate, I want to ask them, hey, what's your first hour or two of the day look like? And if they don't tell me that they have a routine, they're never going to be in that top 1%.
Great one. I think that they're incredibly selective about who they call on. I feel like they're calling from a place of power rather than a place of need. So meaning that when they make calls, they're not hoping people buy from them. They are choosing who they are going to sell to.
Ooh, I love that, because it's all about managing the pipe. and your pipeline. And again, this is top performing salespeople. No, they have to do every phase right. So they're always spending time at the top prospecting. They're always spending time at the middle, and they're always spending time closing. I see average and lower performing. What they do is they swing like a pinball. And no wonder they have mountaintops and valleys. 1 month they're on a mountaintop. Wow, I got all these customers closed. Next month they're in a total valley because they don't have anything. And that's the big difference, because that top 1% knows who to spend time with, and they don't spend time with people who don't measure up to the type of people who they can help the most, period. They're brutal. They're brutal with who they don't spend time with.
Yeah, which leads to another habit, is that they have the courage to walk away. I mean, even if the deal might eventually close at some point, I think one of the differences, really, really significant, is I think one of the challenges of being a salesperson is that we are turned on by the chase. And every single person listening to this podcast right now, including Mark and myself, you have chased a business that when you landed it, you thought, what was I even thinking? But you got so caught up in trying to win this competitive yin and yang with this prospect. And top 1%ers sense early that even when I close this business, because I'm a top 1%er, I can close it, this person is going to be more trouble than they're worth. So they nix it. They walk away, and they're like, somewhere else would be a higher and better use of my time.
Well, and that's one of the key things, because the average salesperson, look, they'll try to stay in the hunt, and they keep wasting valuable cycles. And the top 1% says, hey, it's okay. I've got others I can spend time with. One of the things that I see the top 1% is that they qualify fast to spend more time with fewer prospects. Now think about that for a minute. They qualify fast to spend more time with fewer prospects because they understand that if they can really understand the customer well and really truly uncover their needs, they're not just going to close a sale, but they're going to open a relationship. And again, that's a big difference. Top performers open the relationship to be able to move the organization forward.
Yeah, I think another habit of top 1%ers is that, kind of along the lines of what you said, their questioning is really at a deeper level. So they've done their homework. They know the background on the customer. They know the industry. They know those types of things. So when they're in there questioning, they're really looking to identify what's the deeper and most valuable need, so that if they end up trying to close this deal, they're so far ahead of their competitor that the competitor's not even bidding on the same deal that they're bidding on. They've gotten to a level of need that they've taken price off the table. So their questioning and how they design the sales call is just at a different level. And when it's at a different level, the customer is thinking, and here's the key, the customer is thinking, this sales professional understands me almost better than I understand myself.
And that's so key, because that top performing salesperson goes in to have a conversation. They go in to have a conversation. The lower level goes in to have a presentation, because they don't understand what it is. So they're just going to stick to the PowerPoint. They're going to stick to it. But that top performer says, wait a minute, I'm so confident, I'm so competent, I can have a conversation with you. And it's going to allow us to uncover needs that you probably never thought you had. But I'm going to be able to help you at a level that goes beyond your wildest expectations. That's how you create really deep, meaningful customer relationships. That's how you keep customers for life. That's how you really create profitable customers. I mean, it's amazing when you walk in and just have a conversation. And a simple line I love to use is, the best presentation ever made is the presentation never given, because you know your stuff so well, but you don't have to give a presentation. It's just a conversation. Top 1%ers do that all the time.
Yeah, I love this comment from Mark, because I think it really feeds really well into a top 1%er. And a top 1%er says that where a company with a strong customer service team can help with the follow-up activity. A top 1%er knows that's their job. They close the deal, and they're working so intimately with customer service that have helped. They're helping customer service identify where the next needs are, what to listen to from the customer, so they can tip that 1%er off when they need to go back and deal with that customer. The power of that is it allows me as a top 1%er to keep focusing on bringing in new business, but I've got my customer service team working and helping me identify the opportunities to deepen the existing relationships so that we don't miss an opportunity to both expand existing relationships and ensuring that we retain customers.
Here's what I'm going to tell everybody who's listening, watching this show right now. I want you to write down the names of who are those 5 or 10 salespeople that you see out there that epitomize the top 1%, and begin to ask yourself. And Mary, you talked about this right up at the top. And what are the traits? What are the things? Begin creating that. Now, not to make yourself jealous, but to say, hey, you know what? I need to work on that. I need to focus. And when you develop your skills to become one of the top 1%, don't try to develop all of them at one time. Just develop one skill at a time. One skill at a time. Master it, and then move on to the next one. Move on to the next one. This is a great, man. We could go on for hours. We got so many comments that are flooding in. It's amazing. But we probably need to get to the book. The book is The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino.
I'm just curious how many people in our audience have ever read that book. I actually don't have a copy of it because I've listened to it 3 times on Audible. But I put that one down because I think it's one of the it's not only about the greatest salesperson in the world. It's probably one of the greatest sales books ever written, but it's truly just a fable. And it's a fable that really lists some of the top habits of the top sales professionals and how you can acquire those sales strategies.
And what I like about the book is it's not just about sales, but it's about life.
Yeah.
There are so many things. And you know what's interesting? You look at the top 1% salespeople. They're great individuals because they demonstrate a level of integrity. They demonstrate a level of professionalism, a level of caring. And that really, the greatest salesman in the world, Og Mandino. I tell you what, most of you listening to this probably have a copy of it somewhere. You know what? Dig it out, read it, or go get the Audible, listen to it. But it's one of those books that you do want to come back to and read every couple of years. So yes, excellent. Okay, are you ready?
I am ready.
Lightning round. Lightning round. Top 10 ways to get ready for the 4th quarter.
All right, here we are. It is the beginning of August, almost, just about. We're getting really close. So it is time to get ready for the 4th quarter. Number 1, you need to create a strategy for the 4th quarter. You basically have August, September, October, November, and December ready. How are you going to move in to October 1, really strategically thinking about what you need to close by the end of the year?
Number 2, be thinking about your calendar because depending on your industry, December might be off the table. That means you've got to make your 4th quarter number in really 2 months instead of 3 months. So you better take out a calendar and begin looking at it. What are those key dates? What are those kind of, it's all over. Some of you may get a tremendous amount of business in the month of December. That's great. But unless you're prepared for it, it's not going to happen. So again, it comes back to know your calendar.
Yeah. Rewind. Take the time right now. In fact, your very first team meeting in August, review who you've called on this year, what business you've closed, what business is in the pipeline, and what business will need to be revisited before the end of the year. So get a very strategic prospect list.
I'm going to also add to that, be looking at all of the customers that you've got and be understanding what's your sales cycle. How long does it take you to close? I was working with a company this past week and they have about a 6-month close cycle. So guess what? Things they start prospecting now aren't really going to close until probably the 1st quarter. So understand what are those deals that you're going to be able to get this year if you're chasing this year's number.
Yeah. Figure out how to strategically use holidays. One of the challenges of fourth quarter is that customers plan a lot of downtime or it's their busiest time of year. So how can you use holidays not to take your foot off the gas, but at least remain visible and add a little value?
Okay, this is going to upset a lot of people, but you know what? A great week to prospect? Thanksgiving week. A great week to reach out to customers is Thanksgiving week, because why? It's kind of a busted play week. A lot of meetings are off the schedule and things are a little more laid back. I love using windows of time that people say, it isn't going to work. That's why I like using Thanksgiving week. And also right now in the summer, Friday afternoons. You want to create opportunities, make calls on Friday afternoons. It's amazing the conversations you'll have.
Be real with yourself. Look at that pipeline and decide what needs to come off the pipeline. Where have you been wasting your time, and what's really not going to close before the end of the year? And what do you need to remove? What isn't the highest and best use of your time?
Look at your customer base and say, okay, what are the other products or services, depending on what you sell, that you can be selling into them? Because there's undoubtedly a lot of upsell, cross-sell business and a lot of referral business that generally closes on a much shorter timetable. Be really actively looking at where those opportunities are so you can capitalize them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think that I think the other thing is that you need to really ask yourself from a fourth quarter perspective, who on your list has budgets that they're going to need to take care of, that they're going to need to spend some money by the end of the year? Is there anything that you sell that could be a tax advantage, that could be that? And start to focus in on those customers. Never
count yourself out. It is easy to sit there and say, I'm so far behind in my number, there's no way I'm going to make it. No. Never count yourself out. One of the top 1%ers, they're so incredibly optimistic. And this is the time right now to have that optimistic. Hey, why don't you share one more? I'll share one more, and then we'll close it down.
Yeah, ask yourself if you need to increase activity. Really look at what you did in the first 8 months of the year and ask yourself, was your activity strong enough? And if it was, great. If not, look to really pick it up for the end of the year.
Make sure that you're teaming up with other people. Again, there are probably partners, there may be channels, there may be other entities that you can be working with to help them close more sales, and they'll help you close more sales. Hey, great session today. Great conversation. Very much appreciate it. We want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If something, if you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show. And hey, would you do us a favor? Would you tell a friend about our show? Make sure you're downloading the podcast on whatever podcast platform you have. And do us another favor. Would you leave us a review? Because we need some more reviews out there on Spotify and iTunes and all of that sort of stuff. So, hey, what's our objective? Our objective is to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right. Scott, I want to give a shout out to you. I love this comment. Sales managers and sales consultants put too much emphasis on the salesperson having sales skills, never giving up, being driven, organized. The sales manager coaches them and develops them into superstars, which is exactly what I did to a burned out manager whom I transferred to sales. She crushed it. Fantastic. We love our audience and love for you to weigh in. Beth, we put the link to the book in the show notes. It'll come out. It's Og Mandino, The Greatest Salesperson. And the link is in there for the show. Join us next week right here at 9 a.m. Eastern for another episode of Sales Logic. Until then, close a ton of sales and have a great week.